Hey, welcome everyone. My name is Timothy Gager, and this is Virtual Thursdays Dire Literary Series. And here's your host. Anyway, we were just talking about game shows. So we have a wonderful feature tonight, Mr. Michael Mark, and I'm so glad that he's joining us. And let me tell you and show you a little bit about Michael and for everybody here. There we go. And this is his award contest winning book that came out, Visitor in Queens is More Enlightening Than a Month in a Monastery in Tibet. So that is his new book, and it won the Rattle Prize, and Rattle is a great poetry site. And a little bit about Michael is this is a little story. We're going to talk about the story later, but I'm going to read just the serious stuff. Michael received the MA in creative writing from SUNY school system, a college system in Binghamton. His first books, Toba and At the Hands of a Thief, were published soon after he graduated. They were based on his grandmother's stories. When she read them, she thought that he had listened to a thing that she said, so he wrote a book about her. He used to work in advertising, and he's a volunteer at hospice and a volunteer at writing poems. And so please check out his wife's blog too, Midlife Athenaeum.com. Is that correct?
That's right.
And if you want to find out more about Michael, it's michaeljmark.com. And Michael, it's so good to have you on the show, and I can't wait to hear your stuff.
Well, thanks, Tim. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and listen to everybody's open mic and share what I have.
All right, why don't you read a little bit for us?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to start off with the title poem of the book, just to introduce. But you're going to be hearing a lot about my family today, so because it's pretty much what I'm not all that well read in poetry, to be honest with you guys. So my archetypes are my family members, to their chagrin many a times. So this one is visiting her in Queens is more enlightening than a month in a monastery in Tibet. And it's about my mother's Alzheimer's. For the fourth time, my mother asks, "How many children do you have?" I'm beginning to believe my answer to Mom is wrong. Maybe the lesson is they are not mine, not owned by me. And she is teaching me about my relationship with her. I wash my dish and hers. She washes them again. I ask why. She asks why I care. Before bed, she unlocks and opens the front door. While she sleeps, I close and lock it. She gets up, unlocks it. What I have, no one wants, she says. I nod, she nods. Are we agreeing? My shrunken guru says she was up all night preparing a salad for my breakfast. She serves me an onion. I want her to make French toast for me like she used to. I want to tell her about my pain, and I want her to make it go away. I want the present to be as good as the past she does not remember. I toast white bread for her and butter it. Cut it in half. I eat a piece of onion. She asks me why I'm crying. The next one was written one morning when I went visiting in San Francisco, and it's an epistolary poem, but it's to be fancy. It's a letter to my mom, trying to reach her as she was fading. Still my mom, but changed. Watching the Golden Gate Bridge disappear. Mom, I'm in San Francisco, and the bridge is being taken away. The East Tower is completely gone. All morning, the pillars resisted the fog until they were exhausted. Is that how it was for you when you didn't know how to make your famous tuna the way I liked it anymore? And you kept calling me the mean tailor. I needed to take in your house dress. You'd gotten so thin. The suspension cables barely peek out now, and the cars are creeping into the invisible. It's getting hard to remember how it was. The locals tell me to just wait. In a moment, the whole bridge will return with the cars, the boats, the bay, the sun. This is the last poem in the chapbook. I want to, it's so much about my mom and my family and how we dealt with my mom's disease and how it affected us. I wanted to leave the book with some future or some understanding or perspective on what had just occurred. By this time, my mom had passed. A daily practice. After I write temporary on each sticky note and press them onto socks, silverware, bills, my hair, I put one on each maple tree in the yard and notice I don't think of them as eternal as much. All it takes is a single word on red, yellow, green tags to remind me the car isn't mine. The house isn't mine. Snow, money, flowers do that just by being themselves. But I stick one on fear and another on hate, pushing with all my weight so they stay. Dogs are born with the knowledge, so no need. But old people, even shrinking in hospice beds, yes. Somehow they transform temporary into still here. Babies are so hard, I almost can't. When the pad is empty, I wait for the glue to lose its grip and fight the urge to blow or peel them off. Sometimes a wind comes and I stumble around, trying to catch them. I don't only write about my folks and my family, or maybe I do, but it's more disguised. This one is one of those odd moments that you just notice things. Called Reunion. While turning the page, I noticed the bare foot at the end of the leg draped over my knee. It seemed so strange to have a foot, for a foot to look like that. With my mind, I lift and lower it at the ankle like a crank, up and down. It looks like a hand that looks like a foot, stiffly waving hello on its own, as though it sees me. One day I won't be able to do this. I close the book. My hand waves to my foot flaps back mechanically. Siblings who are so close they don't notice, then do. A weirdo poem. Here's another weird one. I don't know how to preface this, so I won't. I like when the serial killer in the movie is a good family man, a slightly over-attentive dad who gets flustered helping his kids with their grade school homework at the fold-out kitchen table each night. And they make fun of him, call him Mr. Goonie, because he fears his answers are all wrong. And he doesn't want to hurt their futures. And his wife wants to crawl inside him, gushes how he's more patient with the kids than she is. And nobody in the whole world knows her man with the kindest little bunny heart. What would she do if something happened to him? She looks up with her watery, Christ-lighted eyes and begs, please don't die first. Kill me first. Be merciful. Instantly, he knows how and where and with what. But what about the kids, he whispers. She grabs him close, wraps her legs around him while the children do their math and spelling. I don't care. Kill them too. I guess that's an opportunity for the shrink. Last one tonight. Thanks for listening. This is also in the book. If I say the butterfly is beautiful, Dad. If I say the butterfly is beautiful, Dad, he'll say it's a bug. If I say it likes him, he'll say, who needs friends? If I say once it was a caterpillar, he'll say, next it'll be dead. If I say it's a symbol of change, he'll inch his butt to the bench's edge, rock back and forth, like the physical therapist taught him, to get momentum, to stand safely. Then, after 3 settling breaths, he'll turn and start shuffling towards the car. If he's feeling steady enough, if the breeze isn't too hard, he might spread wide those bony elbows, look back at me, and flap them. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Michael. That's a great reading, and your book is wonderful. And we already have a question in the galley here. Your first title was 10 words, which is also the book title, which is fun. What should a title do for a poem, and what is your approach for coming up with a title?
That's great. I wouldn't have not known that it was. I knew it was long. In fact, it was first published in the Sun magazine, and Cy Safransky, and that's my favorite magazine in the world because my favorite poet is Tony Hoagland, and he was always in the, may he rest in peace. He was always in the Sun. So when they took this poem, he said, "We'd like to publish the title of a poem with a title longer than God's necktie," which I love that as an acceptance. I don't know. I mean, I think the title is really important. I think it's hard. They're really, really hard because you don't want to give away. I write narrative very discursively, so you don't want to give the story away, but you want to have some hints to it, or which you could like take the threads and make the sweater or whatever your garment you're making. So I think it has to have something to do with it, but maybe you talk about like Emily Dickinson, tell it slant. So it has something to do with it, but it also has places for departure, like a runway. Many metaphors, and they're all mixed, so I apologize, but that would be my answer.
So the title, and I'm just going to repeat it because it is the title of the book, Visiting Her in Queens is More Enlightening Than a Month in a Monastery in Tibet. So what were the runners up for the title? Did you consider other titles?
No, that was it. In fact, I love that title. I have to be honest with you. I mean, I look at my work a lot of times, especially right now. Right now, I hate my stuff. You know, we all go through that, right? So right now, I can't stand it. But that title, I like the contradiction. There's so much tension between Queens, which I love, and then monastery in Tibet. Where do these things come together? And so there's some energy there, some excitement for me. So I didn't have any other options in my mind. Probably the best part of the book is that title.
And it's a real contrast because your mom was in Queens with the Alzheimer's, and it just makes a whole lot of sense. And which ties into the next question that Robert asked. Your theme of being a caretaker for a parent can be a challenge for sharing with the family. So how did you deal with that?
Robert, I hurt a lot of people.
Is that okay to hurt people? Does it restrict your work? Not okay to hurt people, but you know what I'm saying in the writing world. You have to go.
It's freaking hard. It's hard. It's hard. My father says to me, I sent the book to my father and I said, Dad, here's the book. And I really knew, I said, oh, I'm in trouble. And by this time, my mom passed. And he said, I read the book. After 2 weeks, he goes, I read the book. I don't like it. And he hung up. And he's asked me to stop writing about this stuff. But I'm not going to, because I really hope that it's not just ego, but I know there's a great part of it that is. So let's be honest, but I do hope that it helps people. I'm a hospice volunteer, like you mentioned, and a lot of this is conflated. It's not my mother's disease so much, the Alzheimer's or the dementia, whatever. It's also my patients. And so I fuse them. So my father goes, wait a second, that looks like mom, it sounds like mom, but she didn't have this, and da, da, da. And yeah, right, that's correct. So there's a lot of pain involved, and I'm not so sure I'm doing the right thing, Tom. Really, Tim, but I do it, but I did it.
I know some people that have written memoirs that describe some adversarial type of relationships. What they end up doing is they wait until the person dies before they put out the book. Did you consider that? I mean, I don't wish any bad on your father, of course.
No. It's funny you say, because I have a novel that was bought in 1989 that I have not published, that deals with my dad. Macmillan owns it.
Is it ever going to come out?
Well, now I don't know, because like we talked about before the show, the reading, 1989, it's a long time ago, and it's 750 pages. It should be closer to 500, but okay, can I go back to that world? Can I write fiction anymore? But
I see, yes. When's the last time you had a look at it and actually read?
God, I actually think it was I'll tell you the date, probably December 15th, 1989, because that was the night before my son was born, and I stopped writing it then. And yeah, so that's like what, 30 some.
I remember being very busy that night. But anyway,
yes, I haven't looked at it, and but
look at it and read it, because I bet you'll have more moments of, wow, did I write this? That's pretty good, versus, oh my God, this is horrible. I bet you really kind of like it.
Thank you. I we'll see. Thank you. I can't make any promises, but I appreciate the encouragement.
So Joni asks, how do you handle the construction of a poem? And does a poem spill out all at once, or do you start it as a note and then go through many alterations?
Iterations, maybe?
Yes.
Alterations too.
Iterations.
Yeah, great. Thank you for the question. It's a great one. It happens sometimes that they come out, rarely. And when they do, I doubt them. And I shouldn't, because a lot of times they're better that way. I screw them up in editing. I edit, and Gordon's here, my very, very close friend, and one of my first readers and my very trusted reader, fantastic editor. I mean, he sees things that are so buried. He's so good for my work, and I appreciate you. Thank you, Gordon. And great, and he's a wonderful poet too. So he'll testify that I write and rewrite. I rewrite probably every poem 70 times. So every word 70 times. And I'll start again. I'll try this one. I reformulate it. I want to know what the form is going to be. I want to know the tones. I want to know I want to know all that stuff. But as long as it has that vibration, or a heartbeat, I know I haven't killed it yet. There are some that I have. Recently, I've killed a bunch of poems. So that's right. I don't know what kind of process I have. I start off with usually speaking into my phone. I hear something, I smell something, and something happens, and I just say it. And then from there, I massage it, I cook it up, and I probably beat it to death.
So I like that you said you had a trusted readers. How important is that, and how do you find a trusted reader? Like, if you're new, or if you're listening in right now, how do you find a trusted reader?
You got to share a bathroom with them. Gordon and I were strangers. We went to SUNY's writers program. They have a summer workshop. It's for, I think, 10 days. I think it's Gordon, 12, maybe it's 12. And they put two old geezers together, and I opened up my door, and there was a bathroom, and Gordon opened up his door almost simultaneously. There was a bathroom, and we said, well, who are you and who am I? And we got to be really close friends. He's one of my best friends in the world, and we talk almost every day. And we share poems when we share them, and he's very, very thoughtful, very careful, and I got lucky with him. And I have other readers, and some, I drop off with because they're really not dedicated to it, and then they can't live up to what Gordon has set us a high standard, and some could live up to it, and some don't have my poems that much. So this was lucky. This was just dumb luck.
It's what a coincidence. And that's not your only coincidence. So you're a young guy going to college, you're shy, and you're like what college students like to do, like, hey, let's go out, let's go to the bar, let's go to the pub. And your roommate at the time said, no, I'm going to stay in and write. And because of that, you stayed in and wrote, and that's how you started to write poetry and started to write. So if your roommate was a musician, would you be a guitar player then, or how would that have worked?
I don't know, because I grew up with several afflictions. First of all, as you can tell, I don't speak with great execution. I have a soft, mushy mouth. I was born with a 65% hearing loss in both ears. I don't know that I could be a musician. Funny enough, Gordon's a really accomplished musician. The music that I hear is often within language, and especially vernacular. I don't know, Tim, if I would ever be a musician. I doubt it. I don't think I have any talent. I always had a little gift for writing. And that was my saving grace in grade school or even in high school. So, yeah.
Also, being a hospice, I like how you say you're a volunteer being a poet, but you're also a volunteer at a hospice, which you mentioned. And so does the theme of death, afterlife, acceptance of death, or non-acceptance of death creep into your writing?
Oh my God, it doesn't creep in. It's at the very heart, because I don't believe in death. I don't believe in an end. I don't know if there's a beginning. I don't believe in there's a beginning. And I don't believe in there's an end. And so that helped me write on some level that question earlier about what you do with this stuff. It's hurtful, yeah, but I actually think I'm trying to bring in, that's why I wrote the poem about a daily practice, because and I said, when I put the word temporary on there, because it is temporary, and this too shall pass, whether I'm in this body or not. So it's very much at the center of what I feel, what I believe.
I love that. I love this here shall pass. Maybe we have the same friends somewhere.
Yeah.
You are the environmental poet of the year. Are you an environmentalist, or do you just write about environmental issues?
What do you mean I'm the environmental poet of the year? I never heard that one.
I read it on one of your bios for one of your interviews. It said you won the environmental poet of the year. So is that
That's
a shitty?
different Michael Mark? That ain't me. I mean, I like trees, but I like trees and all that. But no, I'm not an environmental poet. So
I'm asking people to dismiss that last comment and please strike it from the record. All right, how about this one? You wrote a poem called A Soldier's Christmas. Is this one true?
No, it's a different Michael Mark.
Changed his life.
All right. I'm sure I'm the imitation.
It's the first time that my research has failed me. All right, so as a volunteer poet, and poetry now has to compete with now competes with TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. Will poetry always be viable, or will the other things fade away first?
Oh, I love this. Okay, hold on. Got a crystal ball. Okay, here's my crystal ball, my Fresca. Poetry's gonna outlast them all. Yeah, I mean, it may come in different forms, and it does. But I think that is TikTok is an element, a medium where that plays off of other aspects, but I think that poetry comes from a place eternal. Though we just talked about how everything's temporary, so you can call bullshit on me.
Yeah, I mean, I did a TikTok dance once, and I kind of I pulled my sonnet. It was horrible. So on your appearance here tonight, I got a lot of positive response. A lot of people connected with me about you appearing here tonight. So how do you get your work out there? In other words, like you won a contest for your chapbook. How would you recommend getting your work out there? And what do you do?
I submit them publications. That's all I do. And when I get one in, and I brag about it and on Facebook and on TikTok, Twitter, yeah, and at Facebook, and that's all I do. I mean, I I don't even have a full length. I don't have a full length book. I mean, I should. I mean, I have them. I've been very fortunate to get some acceptances, and of course, I get deluged with rejections. But I've had a bunch of acceptances, and so like they've been published in some of the better magazines. But that's how I do it. I don't know any other way. I don't know people.
And how often are you submitting?
Oh, I go like right now because I don't like what I'm doing. I'll go ahead and I'll submit a bunch. But there were some months I don't submit at all. But right now on my submittable page, which is what I usually use, I think I have 37 packages out there, which is, that's sizable. And, but my hit rate is pretty low because I do go to the publications that usually have a 2% acceptance rate or less. Whatever reason, because I'm a masochist. I don't know. I want to be accepted. Please love me. Whatever.
Like we all want. So it was a pleasure talking to you and hearing you read. If you're going to AWP, Michael Mark is reading at a Red Hen Press reading. So check him out. And I know a lot of you folks are going. And also, just to refresh your memory, and here is the wonderful book and the award-winning, contest-winning book by Mr. Michael Mark. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Oh, listen, it's a pleasure, and I love talking with you, and really appreciate the opportunity to share and to listen now.
Fantastic. And folks that are watching on the Facebook group in the stream, if you'd like to participate in the open mic, just use the link and come on in. I'll be sure to let you in unless your name is Zoom Bomber. And besides that, next week we have next week is the poet laureate of Portland, Maine, Maya Williams. So check her out. And if you're not coming in, thank you for watching, and we'll still be here.